everybody. Bill Faith here. Welcome to today's live broadcast. This is going to be a special one. We're going to be talking about creative ways to ownership, right? It's not all about putting 20% down, buying $1 million properties. There's thousands, literally thousands of ways that we can get to buying a property, especially if you don't have any money. Money's tight for a lot of people. I get it. Inflation's sky high. So before I bring my guest on today, I'm just going to share a little story. A lot of you were following me on my Instagram stories, TikTok, stuff like that. Yesterday is I went on a full day, basically jaunt to go look at a brand new market that I've never been to a place that is so underinvested. It's amazing to me. So long story short, I'm going to share a deal that I put together with John Hodge and Trip Atkinson. They're both members of my mastermind. We're in the process of putting together a $50 million syndication, a closed syndication property by property. We went and we found a property that is about 1.2 acres. It is in a prime location, walkable to a downtown area. It has a park that is a draw. It has a lake that is a draw. It's in the middle of America. It's not a place that anybody would think of. $475,000 purchase price, under contract, full purchase price. Needs about $75,000 in rehab costs. And the gentleman I'm about ready to bring up, Mr. TJ Tijani, is an expert in burring. He's also an expert in figuring out creative ways, as my good friend and partner, John Hodge, is as well. So here's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share a couple of details. 20-year AM on the funding, commercial loan, 4.75% interest rate, so under 5%. Most of you are probably paying 6.5% to 8.5% right now, and the DSCR products are all roughly around 7.5% to 9%. $150,000 allocated for our post-close rehab budget rolled into the loan. Think about that for a second. $475,000 purchase price, $150,000 allocated for rehab. We only have $75,000 budgeted. So we're going to pull that $75,000 back out. That means for us on the three partners, we have a $7,000 cost basis. That's our investment into this property. That's $7,000. Actually, let's do it that way. $7,000, $7,000. Oh, I forgot the most important part. This $475,000 property is going to yield $145,000 to $165,000 a year in revenue. You heard that correctly. You don't have to buy $1 million property. So my investing strategy has changed. A lot of you know me as the $1 million property, the value add guy. I'm now going to new markets, no Gatlinburgs, no Blue Ridges, no Gulf Shores, no Dustins, no Broken Bows, no Palm Springs, new markets that none of you guys are investing into, and doing smaller properties in places that have, I don't want to say have been untouched, but you know, the Bill Fays and the Michael Sjogrens and, you know, the Richard Furtags and people that haven't been talking about these markets, and we haven't ruined it yet for investors. So don't worry, I'll let you know in due time. I'm going to get, 4 or 5 properties under my belt, and then I'll let everybody know what's coming down. So I just want to kind of share with you the creative financing deal that we put together. What I will tell you is this property was made available by Kenny and I through Bill and Kenny's Hot Picks for a month, going all the way back to the SCR Wealth Conference in Nashville, and nobody picked it up. So after it sat there for a month, called John Hodge, said, hey, what do you think about this? Went and saw it yesterday, under contract, and the cash on cash is going to be about 400%. These deals are available. There's nobody better to help us talk about how we can get creative and leverage these into ownership. There's a lot of ways to enter without having to buy. So without further ado, I've got my good friend, the rentalpreneur, the guy that wears the flashiest shoes I've ever seen next to Liberace, Mr. TJ Tijani. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good, brother. I'm good. Hope all is well. How's everybody doing? Appreciate you having me, brother.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in, TJ. What are your best creative ways to ownership? I know we talked a little bit about this, and you've got some that I never really even thought of. So let's just bang it right out. Let's get right to the heart of it. Tell me, how the hell do I lease a property and get into ownership?
So So, it's interesting because, and I think this is one of the things that makes me dangerous as an investor, especially someone in the short-term rental game, because I was a real estate investor doing long-term buy and holds and leveraging other creative strategies to wholesale. And I was wholesaling subject to deals. I put owner finance deals together that I wholesale. I bought owner finance. I sold owner finance. I was putting together lease purchase deals to sell as well. So I was doing creative things already. And so now that we are kind of in this space with the short-term rental space is I know that I noticed that there's a bridge here, right? We can still leverage these creative strategies, but still exit with short-term rentals, which just creates more opportunity to get creative into the ownership space, right? So we talk a lot about multiple ways to get into this game, arbitrage, and a lot of folks co-hosting and whatnot. But I always feel like the path should always be into ownership. That's my thoughts. So, especially with kind of the way things are going right now, and I'm gonna you're gonna hear this a couple of times as I even go through this presentation, but. Like as far as things are going right now, I feel one of the things when I literally list out, I spoke at the Clever Summit in April, this past April, and that group chat with all the speakers is actually still like very active. Like Cody's he's doing a really good job at keeping that group chat active, and he talked about how he said, "Hey, with everything going on right now, here's a list of things I'm doing in my business." And he says, everybody chime in with what you're doing in your business, right? What are you doing? How are you what are you implementing? What are you not doing? What are you stopping? What are you pivoting in your business to kind of take advantage of what's going on in the marketplace right now? And one of the things that I know I had on my list was to kind of hone in more on more creative strategies into ownership. Because, right now we love the burst strategy, we love leveraging private capital. We love doing it. I've been doing that. I've been doing that way before. That was the first strategy I started doing when I got into real estate investing. So, but I think when you have more than one notch in your tool belt, it just makes you that much more dangerous as an investor. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about right here, of course, is the lease purchase strategy that I want to share with you guys today. And it's a great way because now you can actually execute a lease and an option to purchase the property, and along with that, you get a chance, because of what we do when we exit, we get a chance to cash flow from this property. We get a chance to actually see what this property does and see how we can get it to its full potential before we even commit to the property, which I think is a good thing, and that's something that we're definitely going to go into here today.
So when you say lease, are you talking about going in and doing like an arbitrage deal to where you're leasing? And then you're exercising an option to purchase down the road? I assume you would probably want to have that negotiated up front, so the owner doesn't see you paying him $2,000 a month and, well, shit, TJ's got 90% occupancy. If you're doing $9,000 a month, I need to jack up the price, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you actually see all the numbers are formed and structured on the front end. And the good thing is that even that purchase price, because you're going to structure that option of purchase as well. That purchase price is actually confirmed on the front end of this deal. So even if the property appreciates, a year down the line, a year and a half down the line, 2 years down the line, however long that lease agreement is, you locked in at that price. And so, yeah, that is agreed upon. And it really is a win-win situation for everybody. It really is, because now the seller has a creative way to sell their deal, because the alternative was to do other alternatives that wouldn't have molded them well. And so now they get to sell the property at a great price, and they get to make money in the process. And now you've entered the property very creatively with little to none of your money, and now you can capitalize on it. What was happening within the lease with the lease purchase space is this was a creative way for people, right? People that didn't necessarily have the means to get financing with the bank right then. And a lot of times it's not so much that they had bad credit or just didn't qualify for whatever reason. A lot of times they might be self-employed, right? And they don't have 2 or 3 years of that history to show you, but they want to take advantage of some real estate right here and right now. So that's why these kind of creative strategies came about. And so now investors were asserting themselves as arbitragers, right? In the middle, as middle people, and doing what you might hear something called a sandwich lease. This is where you execute a lease option with the seller, and then you assign that lease to an end buyer. And so, and you charge a little bit more in rent, so you make a delta on that difference every month. And their assignment fee, goes towards the property as a down payment. Every dollar goes towards a down payment. you keep a lion's share of it. A small portion of it goes towards the seller, right? And so usually what the seller gets turns out to be about 1 to 2% of the purchase price. The rest that goes to you. And that is something that your tenant buyer pays. And so that could be
So
completely.
TJ, I don't mean to interrupt you, but are you essentially in that scenario wholesaling the lease?
In that scenario, you can wholesale it and get out of it, where you just wholesale the lease option, or you can stay in it and do a sandwich lease option. That way you're in it, you're in the middle.
Yep,
And that's a sandwich lease option. And so what we're doing now is people should really to consider is that leveraging this strategy now to get into ownership, to exit with short-term rentals. Because if we're okay with doing this arbitrage deals, right, we can put down 1%, 2% at the most, and give the seller, and that goes towards the purchase price. You negotiate the purchase price on the front end. That down payment goes towards the purchase price. Your rents that you're paying every month, a portion of that, usually about 10%, goes towards your that out-of-pocket cost, your down payment as well. And so then when you execute the purchase, you already get all those credits. And in 90% of the cases, they also give a seller's concession in the process as well. So that goes towards your down payment. If you put a portion of your short-term rental income away during the meantime, you can put that away to go towards your deposit, your down payment. So this could be a situation to where if you set it up nicely, once you execute the purchase, you're not having to come out of pocket anything because you've got all those credits already that you've already baked in. And now you execute the purchase, the property's already yours, you already cash on, now you own it. And it's a really good chance now your monthly payments are going to go down because now you're owning it, not renting it. So yeah, it's a creative strategy to definitely get into the game.
So let me ask you a question. What type of properties are you doing this with? What's the price point on them? Are they single family homes, apartments, duplexes, condos, townhomes? And how do you even approach the seller to initiate this conversation? So is this on market or off market? Walk me through the logistics.
Gotcha. Matter of fact, do you want me to just get into the presentation? Because all this is in the presentation. Let's get okay. I'll put something together for y'all. Let's do this. Slides. Okay, I see the share screen. 2 minutes. Okay. This is new. I like this tech you got going on here, man. This is cool. Let's share screen.
You know me, I don't mess around, TJ.
I already know you don't do nothing small, my guy. I already know you don't mess around. All right. It's pulling up here. My computer might be just a little slow. All right. Make sure this is good. Y'all can see.
Madeline Blom, I see you posted a comment that says that was my question too. Is that a response to? Okay, that's a response to mine. I didn't know if I knew a question from somebody else.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try this way. If it doesn't share, then I'll be able to see. I'll just do it.
Yeah, well, TJ's doing that. Just say hi to Madeline, Sanjeev. I see a lot of people that are in here. Emil, Danny. If you guys are just joining us, say hello. Let us know where you're from. That would be amazing. TJ's just getting ready to load up his presentation that he's going to show you guys. We're talking about creative ways to get to ownership to where you're not buying on the front end. TJ's getting ready to show the logistics of how he's leasing into ownership, how he's leasing and sandwiching into ownership. There's a lot of different ways to be able to do it. It's not just going and buying something right up front with 20% down anymore.
Oh man, I don't know if it's and I'm sorry, Bill. I don't know if this is something. This says this Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. I have to unlock this screen because stream is something with StreamYard. I'm not sure what that's about, but I haven't seen notification before. Not sure why it won't let me share it though. Okay.
Can you send it to me like via Facebook Messenger or email or something? I can pull it up for you.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, always technical difficulties.
Sorry about that. These technical difficulties. Yeah. Okay. Let me do this. I think I'm gonna just pop it in and see if I can just email it to you real quick, brother. And all right.
And TJ, why don't you just kind of, as you're loading that, kind of, I guess the big thing that I would want to know is, are the properties on market or off market? That's my first question.
So these are these properties. The best properties to target with this, when you think about it, are properties that are expired or have been sitting on the market for maybe 60 days or even 30 days. And I think that's why I wanted to even introduce this topic, because I think with everything going on with inflation and whatnot, we are starting to see some cool downs in the market in certain marketplaces, and a lot of markets start experiencing some cool downs. So you might start seeing some longer days on the market. Well, this is definitely one notch you two built to where you can approach those folks and show them, right? A lot of times folks aren't necessarily a privy to it, or nor have they really heard about this strategy. So it may take some education. So we like to actually paint the picture, say, hey, here's what it looks like if you sell it the traditional route. Here's how much money you actually really net, and then here's what it looks like you will make working with us and doing this creative strategy. And so that's really the kind of target market to target for sure.
Nice. So if you find a property that you're interested in and it's been on the market for, today, let's just say 70 days, which is an eternity,
Yep.
Today.
Yep.
Are you going and pulling tax records? So you go straight to the buyer? Are you calling the agent? The listing agent? How do you approach that?
So there's a software, and I was going to give us to y'all. Y'all can write it down. My Plus Leads. This is going to be one of your main lead sources. myplusleads.com. This is the
How do you spell that?
My myplusleads.com. Yep.
Right there.
Yep. So you go to My Plus Leads, and they are going to be your bread and butter and getting you those expired listings, and they give you all the information, the seller's information. You got to subscribe to them. Of course, they'll, it's a subscription or whatnot. They'll give you all the information, email, phone number, and you can reach out to them directly. And then there's an email copy that we use that literally breaks down the offer and educates them at the same time. And you can position yourself. If you're an agent, you can send it to the agent representing yourself as an agent, send it to the other agent. Or if you want to position yourself as just a buyer, you can do that. There's a copy to do that. And then you gauge the interest. Usually how we had our systems dialed in, we had a VA that was making the calls, filling out a lead sheet. If they were interested in some creative, there's certain questions in the lead sheet that they would ask if they're interested. And then we get on a call with them. We agree on a price, agree on a monthly amount. Usually it's the asking price that they want. We want beautiful properties. And so then everything else is documentation, and you still close this at a title company.
So it sounds like you're kind of going through the lead gen process like you would as a wholesaler to initiate, correct? But your script is going to be changed when you go in to kind of try to initiate the lease up front instead of the purchase up front. Is that close?
So yes. Well, we're not even approaching them as any kind of we're trying to sell anything or anything like that. We're approaching them like, hey, you could sell it. You could sell your property at market value, and you can make money in the process if you're open to it. And a lot of times, this would also depend on how much equity they have, right? Because sometimes it may be a great idea to do a sub-2 deal. It may be a good idea. These work great for free and clear deals, but these also work great for even if they have a debt on it. But if they have little equity, then it may be better to do like a sub-2, right? Because in this kind of deal, you definitely want some equity. So,
TJ, explain what a sub-2 is for those out there that don't know what that is.
So sub-2 is where you're actually purchasing the property, but understand that there's a separation between the owner of the property and the owner of the debt. Okay, that's understanding sub-2 means understanding that distinction. So I can own the debt, meaning that the property can be reported to my credit. Those monthly payments or whatnot can be reported to my credit on some level. But somebody else can be on title and the deed. You know what I'm saying? So it's two separate things. And sub-2 means that you keep the financing in place and your buying is subject to the existing financing, subject to the existing loan. So the financing stays in place at the seller's name, and then you're now buying it, and now you're going on title, and you're going on deed, and the financing stays in their name. So that means the bank, it's already bank qualified because there's already a bank in place. So that's what sub 2 is essentially. Hope that one.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of my Chad Casey had asked what is a sub 2. I think a lot of my people probably don't know what a sub 2 is, and it's a great way to be able to lead in. What I was referring to on the wholesale side is you're really doing the research like you would as a wholesaler, correct? Not going in to sell them anything,
Right.
But you're looking for properties that might be a little bit distressed, that have been on the market too long. Maybe the listings expired with the agent, to where the owner might be a little bit desperate, right?
Yep. There's definitely in most cases, there's definitely some motivation for the owner to want to sell the property. In a lot of cases, definitely some motivation, and is one of those things where you're providing. And a lot of times when you would make offers on properties, right? It's always a good idea to give them multiple options, right? And this could be one of them. It's always a good idea to give multiple options. This could just be one of the options that you give. And maybe you do give them an owner finance offer or a sub 2 offer and a cash offer, right? And so but this is always going to be one that's always attractive to sellers because they're always going to get their market value or pretty close to it, right? We always give whatever the value is, and they get to make money in the process. They lock in that price. And I was gonna, we'll go into some questions that they usually ask. But one of the questions that a seller may always ask is, well, what if they decide not to buy? What if they don't execute the purchase? Well, perfect. Usually we'll say, just call us back, or we'll find you another buyer. You don't refund anything. The down payment, all the payments you made, that's all you. You don't have to give that back. So we'll find you another buyer, no problem. So. And a lot of times we've worked with sellers who just found buyers themselves. If the one buyer didn't perform, they just found other tenant buyers themselves without even reaching back out. So yeah, it's always a good strategy. And a lot of times when you get a taste of it, because none of that stuff's refundable. They put that on down payment, it goes towards a property, but the seller's protected because they have a right to terminate without a refund if you default. Right? They have a right to. So yeah.
So what happens if you're buying a $400,000 property, you're paying $2,000 a month for a 2-2 in Houston, and you got a 1-year contract, your option to buy at $400,000, you got 10% of your monthly payment going to your down payment, blah, blah, blah. You get to 9 months in, you start preparing, to appraisals, close, whatever. What happens when I'm the owner and I say, TJ, I see all the money you're making. It looks like you're probably doing $8,000-9,000 a month. You're only paying me $2,000. I think I'm going to keep the property and just short-term rental it on my own. Has that ever happened to you? And if it has, how do you address that with the owner when you're under contract?
Well, for one, I don't. There's no reason why the owner should be in your pocket. There's no reason why they would be, right? Because this would be treated as like an arbitrage deal. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times owner really like this strategy too, because they know that the person is now more vested, right? It's not really a tenant. This is a tenant, but a tenant buyer. So they have a way bigger incentive to take care of that property. And when they see you taking care of that property, they're not going to expect anything less. Like they're going to expect you to take care of that property. And they don't need to be in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? You let them know. They know exactly what's going on. Matter of fact, when you sign a lease option agreement with an option of purchase agreement, right? If you're going to sign it, there's also an assignment agreement that all three parties sign, right? Everything is on the up and up. And so they're not, it's never been a situation to where, they're like, oh, you're making money, so we just want to go ahead and keep it. Now, there's actually already an option, a purchase agreement in place that you have been, as a tenant buyer, usually a tenant buyer is like working. Part of the reason why it's rent to own, while they're paying their rent, living there, they're working to get qualified to get them cashed out. So that's the goal. So with you, as it's literally based on the documents that were signed in front notary, title company. It's almost like trying to take a house back that you closed on. This is dang impossible. You know what I mean? So based on everything that was signed, they can't come back and just say, oh, we take the property back. that's impossible based on everything that we signed. So they should be in your pockets. There's really no way, unless you're just telling them how much money you make. There's no way it'll be in your pocket. Secondly, based on the documents, you already signed closing documents. You're protected in that front.
Gotcha. Our mutual friend Noble Crawford has a great question. Are you using this strategy for single family only, or are you doing this for multifamily as well?
It's always interesting with that. I do know I have never done this with multifamily because, you know, you have, in theory, you can. The documentation can get quite tricky, but in theory, you can. I've just never done it with multifamily. I do know people that have, but this just is I do know it's supposed to be meant for a single family play. This is supposed to be a single family play. Now, multifamily, that's where you can do sub-2. You can owner finance for multifamily. You know what I'm saying? You can structure the owner finance. You can structure sub-2 with multifamily as well. And that can be a little bit tricky as well. But the lease purchase is usually reserved for single family.
And for those of you that are considering that are traditional, like single family short-term rental investors, and you're thinking about moving over into multifamily, you need to learn and understand what the valuation of the purchase, how it's different in multifamily than it is on single family short-term rentals, right? You're looking at a cap rate, you're looking at NOI, you know, on multifamily, and it's really interesting. Found a property yesterday, TJ, 15 units, a combination of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and then a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bedroom house, built-in laundry room for the units, lake access. It's right on the water. And the interesting thing is the price point, it's not too far off, but there's probably a $200,000-$300,000 delta when you look at cap rate, when you look at, you know, long-term rent. And the place is being LTR now. Obviously, we want to buy it with the intention of STR, but we're not going to show them our numbers. Like you said, you're not going to show the owner your numbers. So the valuation is going to come off of the LTR on the cap rate and the NOI, right? So we should be able to negotiate a better deal and even get better financing by understanding how multifamily trades, right? Are you seeing that as well in your dealings in Houston?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. If you could, I like the way he said it too. Was you'll be able to get a better understanding once you really know how to analyze the way that multifamily works. We're definitely seeing that in Houston as well, 100%.
Because in multifamily, you ask for one thing, right? Give me your T12s. Yeah. You know, when they give you the T12s, they're locked into that valuation on that cap rate. And I don't think people, because that's basically the bank's not going to loan on STR when it's been an LTR. So some of those negotiating points, if you guys are going to get into any type of multifamily, you've got to understand that game and how that works. Because if you go in thinking, oh, this is $2 million, yeah, I can do $400,000 in gross rent, and I can do 25% cash on cash. Wrong way to start negotiating that deal, right?
Yep. Bill, I don't know if you even saw that presentation. I feel bad because I put this whole presentation for you together.
I haven't got it. Your email's
dead. Got it?
Oh, wait, hey, it just came through. I just got it.
You just got it? Okay. I said that a while. Man, it's telling me that it wants me to shut down my Chrome, restart my Chrome to be able to allow my camera, to share my screen. So I don't want to do that because it'll end the call. So I just didn't. That's why I just didn't do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Let me see if I can open this thing.
Yeah, we could probably sift through just a few.
I don't use Microsoft.
Yeah.
But let me see here. It's trying. I think it's going to work, my friend. It only took 20 minutes for that email to come through. You might want to upgrade. What are you? Are you in Starbucks or something?
No. I really think it's my computer. It might be my computer itself. I don't know.
All right, this might look a little bit different because I don't have PowerPoint, but
okay.
Let's see here. Share screen. All right, everybody can see it. Look at that good-looking dude right there.
All right, yeah, man. You just gonna have to just skip through. If you go in presentation mode, you can just I'll just let you know when to skip through a few of these. So we've had a lot of this conversation already. So we'll some of these we'll just kind of blow through, and then y'all want to ask more questions, you can. But I put together a little something for y'all.
All right, can you see it on your
yeah,
screen?
yeah, we can see it good. Yep, full screen. Yep. So yeah, for folks who don't know, just that's your boy. You know, been in this game since 2017. Love helping people in this business is part of my passion with it. So, yep, keep going. Yeah, so specifically we're talking about lease options, right? So lease options, rent to own, lease with an option to purchase. Option to purchase. So what we're talking about is lease options. Now there's a difference between you may hear lease purchase and lease options. We put them on the contract with lease options, but we structure lease purchases. Lease purchases mean they just kind of hold you to that purchase agreement. Lease options mean that if I decide not to buy it, then okay, there's no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the difference between both. There is a small initial down payment, a deposit, which goes towards a purchase. Usually this is about 1 or 2%, and that goes to the seller, right? Keep going. Yep, so monthly payments, partially, usually around 10%, could be more. We've seen them as high as 20% of the monthly payments that goes towards the purchase price. I mean, the deposit as well, which will help you get qualified on the back end when you get down to purchasing. Yeah, you just keep going on this one. Perfect. So a few benefits, of course. Opportunity to buy a home under difficult circumstances. This is like usually from a traditional tenant buyer perspective, right? Opportunity for investors though to purchase and sell creatively, right? So investors start taking advantage of this strategy, saying that, hey, we can be middlemen. So you might hear something called like a sandwich lease, to where you're signing it and staying in the middle, or you just do a full lease assignment and then you get out of it, and that payment goes between the tenant buyer and the seller. But if you stay in the middle, that payment comes to you. You pay the seller, right? You're the middle person. You collect that difference and then you pay the seller. In some markets like Texas, I forgot what other market it is. Texas, 100%. You can't do sandwich leases in Texas. So if you do lease option strategy in Texas, you have to just assign. You can assign it and get out of it, but you cannot do sandwich leases in Texas. So check your marketplace. This is a strategy because this is a great strategy to start leveraging to get into ownership with short-term rentals. But if you're trying to do,
let me ask you a quick question on the sandwich. Is there any way around that? Could I lease in my personal name and then sandwich with an LLC that I might be a member of?
So lease it in your personal name. Say, no, you can't, because everything ties to
common ownership.
Right, exactly, and it's still tied to that same property. The money flows to that same property. I mean, yeah, it just is so frowned upon in Texas. I honestly don't know the why. There was something with some janky investors back in the day. I don't know what happened, but yeah, gotcha. Something about it in Texas is just not allowed in Texas. Yeah, but okay. Check your marketplace for sure. So you lock in a purchase price. You lock in that purchase price. So the purchase price, when you execute your purchase, it's not that new. You're not going back to negotiate with the seller. You're not going back to say, hey, whatever that purchase price is, you locked in at the beginning, and that usually bodes you well because, of course, in history, property goes up in value, but you've locked in that purchase price, whether it was a year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever the case may be. Benefits, more or less, worry-free tenant, right? This is benefits from a landlord perspective. Right, more or less, because understand, as a tenant buyer, you're more invested. You're gonna take care of that property. You care about that property. To you, that is ownership for you. So your tenant buyer usually they treat it like it's their own. Keep going. Okay, you're saving on selling costs, right? Saving on selling costs from a landlord perspective, because understand, when we structure these deals, there's no 6% agent fee that they have to pay us, right? Lock in the profits and the cash flow. Lock in that profit and the cash flow. A lot of times, these cash flows they're consistent. Lease purchase cash flows are usually more consistent than traditional tenants, because when they default, they don't want to lose that deposit. They don't want to lose that deal. They don't want to lose that path to ownership. So lease tenant buyers are usually always on time, just like you would be if you were running to play with this as well. Keep going. Yep. Secure investment, kind of going along the same line. Go ahead. So why are they working right now? You go ahead and just keep going through this whole slide. Why are they working right now? Because of course home prices are cooling off. Like I mentioned earlier, this could be a good opportunity. It's a nice little additional notch in your belt. Do your bird deals, right? Do your bird deals. Look for these properties. But if you come across a deal that a lease purchase may be a good alternative, right? You get the seller what they want, and they make money in the process. Gives you an opportunity to make money from this property before committing to it. Then you should consider running the play with this as well. Just another notch in your tool belt. Maybe the house is vacant, right? The house is vacant. The seller might just have a vacant house, and it's not doing nothing but costing them money. So that might be another reason why they want to do a lease purchase with you. The house might be carrying multiple mortgages, right? Another good alternative for them to do this with you. House may not be selling on the market. Right, it's not selling the market. That's one of the number one ways why sellers might be motivated enough to do the strategy. So there are a lot of people that can't, and there are a lot of people that can't qualify for a loan, and they need more time, right? And you don't necessarily, they don't, and a lot of times they don't even know that this is an option for them. So again, this is why this strategy is working right now. It's been working for a long time. So there are 5 main parts to it: the rental agreement, right? We talked about that earlier. The option money, which goes down. Usually 1 or 2%, that goes down hard, and it goes towards a purchase as a down payment. The rent credits, we talked about that. Oh, the future purchase price, which is it's a purchase price now, but that's a purchase price you'll be executing in the future, but you're locking it in now. The rent credits, usually about 10%, could be as high as 20%, go towards your down payment as well. And of course, the assignment fee, and which is paid, which is that's your assignment fee that you keep. So what's the catch? It is a commitment, right? You need to like the property, right? If you do not exercise the options, if you're not exercising your option of purchase, then you're not getting a refund. There's no say, hey, I decide not to buy. Let me go ahead and get my money back. Nah, ain't none of that. So confirm the numbers, confirm the property, put eyes on these properties, do your due diligence on the front end. You keep going. Just want to give y'all a quick example of this. This is one that we did. And I have screenshots of the documentation on future slides. But this one that we did, we purchased, the purchase price was $317,000. They had this property listed on the market for $320,000. We put on the contract for $317,000. We found our tenant buyer paid $18,000 down. So minus the option fee, the buyer was getting $299,000. Portion of the fee out of the $18,000, she got $5,000. But the $18,000 still covered it all the way down to $299,000. You still got credited for the entire $18,000, but the seller got $5,000 out of that. So that means the seller got $304,000. Seller concession, that is just an agreed concessions. Usually we just say a flat fee of $3,000. That's just usually a flat fee for $3,000. So that means the total minus that, the seller's going to totally receive $301,000. So at closing, they're going to get the $5,000 plus the first month, which is the agreed rent that we agreed at $1,950. So total that seller's getting $6,950 at closing. That's what she's getting at closing. Keep going. So there's 2 checks that the tenant buyer writes, and if you're the tenant buyer, you're writing 2 checks. The option deposit, which goes to the seller, right? Well, in this case, if it's a tenant buyer that you assign it to, then that deposit, a portion of it goes to the seller. You keep the lion's share of it, and then another check for the first month, which of course that's the rent credits. A 10% of that goes towards the rent. Keep going. So what you should look for: properties in good location that will appreciate in value, reasonable arrangements for future purchase price. Right? Make sure the terms work for you. Make sure it's a win-win situation throughout. Reasonable portion of the monthly payment goes towards the future purchase price. Again, usually 10 to 20%. Flexible buyout schedule, reasonable arrangement during lease term. Make sure that you can afford the property. Will it run these numbers? This is no different than any other thing that we're doing. We're looking at the numbers on the front end. So where to look, right? Because where you find these people that'll be interested and intrigued enough to want to do this strategy. Keep going. Oh, why is it looking like that? My bad. It's not supposed to look like that. But anyway, it's a lot of times these listings are expired. It says here, great list of target for these kind of properties. The properties do not have to be expired for them to work to be a great lead. If they've been on the market, 30 plus days, they're also amazing leads for this strategy as well. Keep going, Bill. So 5 options, right? Because a lot of times you have to educate these sellers. Like they have to know and see that this is actually a great option for them. Say, what's the 5 options for them? Drop the price, drop the price, drop the price, lose money, wait, hope it sells, do a short sale, decide to just rent it out, or you can sell it right now using a creative exit strategy. Right? Keep going. So I give them. I like to give the sellers like a scenario. Like we literally have a spreadsheet that we will give them the breakdown down scenario. Once you put the purchase price in, it literally just spits out all the numbers. So okay, you want to sell it for this is just an example number. You list it for 150,000. You price drop. You end up sell price 132,000, 6% commissions. You got to pay the closing costs. And most of the time you pay seller concessions. So total cost 16,000, and you're netting 115,000 for $150,000 purchase that you initially wanted. And we could have gave you that 150,000 and did something creatively, and you would still net it up more, right? So the scenario from a rent for if they want to rent. So keep you can just run through these. Keep going, Bill. Price drop. Price drop. You want to list it. You price drop. Decide. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and rent it. You market it for sale. You show the property over and over. Deal with the time wasters. Keep going, Bill. 39 days, you may be vacant for a whole month. You got to do the screen, criminal check, the whole 9, find the right person. And a lot of times they end up not even paying your rent most of the time. So I've had to deal with that myself. And hope they don't destroy your house. Goodness gracious. So yes. And we educate them as to why tenant buyers are more quality tenant than traditional tenants, right? So they don't discount the expenses too, right? They got the expenses. They got as a renter, as a traditional renter, you got vacancy fee, you got management fee, you got maintenance fee that you have to account for as well. Keep going. So if you're looking to assign, right? Here's the breakdown. The process when we're looking to sign, bringing everything that we talked about, bringing it together. You get a lead sheet filled out. You're either talking to a potential seller. You fill out the lead sheet. You call the seller to confirm the interest rates, confirm their interest and the asking price. You send seller a call sheet, right? The call sheet breaking down everything that y'all talked about, confirming the numbers, breaking down exactly the purchase price, the monthly payments, and all that. They put eyes on the property. Make sure that you like it. It's everything that it looks like on the pictures. Send the seller the documents. Lease option agreement. These are documents that you need. Lease option agreement. The actual lease agreement, the option of purchase, the agreement to assign the interest. Again, this is if you're assigning it. You market the property for lease, right? Market property for lease to purchase, show the property to potential buyers, confirm the numbers with an interested buyer. The buyer fills out the application, perform the credit check, background check. You have a third-party company that handles that, of course. Let me see. Hold on. All these stuff's in my way. I can't even see all the videos in the right screen. Send and collect the LOI, right? We collect the earnest deposit and we send over an LOI. The LOI breaks down the entire buying numbers. It breaks everything down. We send the docs between you and the seller to title. Don't sign the docs with the buyer yet. You sign the docs with the buyer, your tenant buyer, at the title company. So all the docs that I've signed with the seller, the lease agreements, the option of purchase, the assignment agreement, we send all that to the title company. I, as the assignee, meet the buyer at the title company, the tenant buyer. We signed everything else together with title. Title fees are super cheap because there's none of the extra stuff that comes with purchasing. You sign the purchase agreement, you sign the lease agreement, you sign the assignment agreement, all that. So here, keep going. You can keep going. Yeah, so this is the example deal that one of the ones that we did a while ago. This is the seller call sheet that we broke down. We bought a purchase price for $317. This is the same example I just showed y'all. The option fee was $18,000 because we actually $18,000 was the deposit that we agreed with her. $299, $5,000 goes to her. It says a plaintiff's day right here. This is what the seller gets. The seller gets this sheet. It's the seller concession, so it's what she's getting. Portion of the fees, $5,000 goes to her, shows the monthly payment, and it breaks all that down. Keep going. Then there's the option agreement. This is the first piece of document that she'll sign. This is just say, hey, this just breaks it down. Go to the next one. Also breaks down the breaks down the numbers on this one as well. No, you're good. Go up one. My bad, Bill. That was my bad. Go up one, and then one more. That one. All right, perfect. I'll go down one more. No, down, down. All right, that one. All right. So yeah, breaks it down. Everything that was in that seller call sheet breaks it down right here as well. Okay. Sorry, my guy's cutting my lawn right here. My bad. Go down again. We can keep going. Yeah. Dan, it's a lease agreement. Go back to the lease agreement. Perfect. So there's a lease agreement, right? 24-month lease. Now, understand, between me and the seller, this is the agreement between me and the seller as if I'm the tenant buyer, right? Because I'm just assigning it. So all the documents, everything, it's going to be all three of us signing it. But initially, I'm signing it with the seller, okay? So 24-month has rent amount there. Keep going. Then there's the option to purchase, okay? Has that amount there as well. But again, between me and the seller, has my company there with the seller. Keep going. Assignment. Now, before this is the closing doc. Like this is screenshots of the actual closing doc. So before John's name, the buyer, the tenant buyer was filled out. This was empty, right? That was again just an agreement between me and the seller. It's understood that I'm going to be assigning this. She was well aware. She actually signed this ahead of time, but this was just empty. And then we're filling it back up. We filled the name in when we actually found our tenant buyer at the title company. Keep going. Boom. So that's pretty much the documents in the process. This is the process if you're the tenant buyer. If you want to buy it, essentially the same thing. Your call sheet, fill out your lead sheet. You send the seller the call sheet. You go look at the property, make sure everything is good. Now you're just positioning yourself as a tenant buyer. So you have all the documents. Now you just take all the documents and you can just send them straight to the title company and you close at the title company. You fill out the documents you're going to sell it at title, agree on everything, and then sign everything at title, literally because you're the tenant buyer. It's a great win-win situation. The seller now has options. The buyer's ready to buy and move in now. This is assuming you're assigned the tenant buyer. Only work with required buyers. We handle a lot of screening and all that. We show the property by appointment, no long-term vacancy. These are all incentives that we like to educate the seller knows, let them know that we create win-win situation. No inconveniences, property sold for a higher net profit to them. Win-win situation for the seller and us as tenant buyers. Keep going. So title company handles the closing. Now you can depending on the market that you're in, title or some markets, the title companies actually can serve as service companies as well, where they service the loan payments, the mortgage, the rent payments. So if your title doesn't do that, whatever the case may be, I recommend highly. This is assuming you are assigning it to a tenant buyer. Make sure that you have a loan servicing company in place to make sure that the rent's being paid by the tenant buyer and that the mortgage on the property is being paid right before the seller gets their net. So having a service company is also a good idea as well. Top three questions that sellers always get. What about major damages? We let them know, like, look, understand, these are not traditional tenants. These are not traditional tenants. These are tenant buyers. They're way more vested. They don't even view this property the way a tenant does. Total different eyes. They care way more. Matter of fact, they tend to fix up the property. They won't even call you when stuff messes up. They just handle it themselves because they're owners, right? What if they just move out with no notice, right? What if they just move out or they don't decide to execute that purchase? Cool. You keep everything. You keep the option. We'll get another tenant buyer, start the process, get another deposit, and we can get the process going all over again. No problem. Of course, money collection, loan servicing company, I highly recommend, and that is an expense that the buyer pays as well. So if you're the buyer, you'll pay that as well. It's usually about $50 a month. So yes, I know I was kind of rushing through that, y'all. We talked about a lot. Bill, I hope that was valuable. But yeah, I know if y'all got questions, go ahead.
That's awesome. If you guys have any questions for TJ, just let us know. TJ, I know you have an event coming up next month because I'm actually speaking at it at rentalsummit.com. Tell everybody about your event because it's not, you've got more than just me coming in to talk about investing into appreciating assets. You've got all facets of real estate
Yeah.
experts that are going to be there, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the thing, listen, the Rentpreneur Summit, this is my first 2-day conference. Okay. My first 2-day conference. It's going to be here in Houston. For folks who have not been in Houston before, just go ahead and come. It's live over here. We have a good time. Houston's a great city. So come through, have a good time. Now, this event, the theme of this event is cash flow and freedom. Okay. At the end of the day, we love the short-term rental strategy. This is a strategy that changed a lot of our lives, definitely changed my life. I always say there's so many strategies. We talk a lot about co-hosting, management, arbitrage. The goal should be ownership. The goal should always be ownership. And so we want to talk about the goal should always be ownership. So that's why I still want to put value in ownership. That's why I have some of the top real estate investors in the planet coming to add value from a perspective of in sales, perspective of different creative strategies, sub-2 strategies, lease purchases, all different ways to get to get into these properties creatively, to get into short-term rentals, especially now with everything going on. I think this is a strategy that people should be really focused on, to having multiple exit strategies, multiple notching their tool belts. We're going to have people on that side. Then, of course, we're going to have the best of the best on the short-term rental side, adding value, because at the end of the day, the goal is for you to leave this event way smarter than you came. Leave this event with a game plan to either take your business from where to start to 6 figures or 6 to 7 figures. That's the game plan. The goal is for you to leave this event with a different mindset and with your life change. So the Rentpreneur Summit, again, in Houston, August 19th and 20th. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Some of my mentors are going to be there speaking. You got people like Bill, you got Mike, it's just going to be a powerhouse full of speakers. Discount code Bill20. Bill20. Grab an additional 20% off all the tickets. And trust me, I'd recommend that VIP ticket. There's only a few of the VIPs left. Understand that one is going to give you the real access, but nonetheless, you just need to be in a building. Of course, if you understand anything about events, the importance of events, conferences, getting around people like this, you understand that at the end of the day, it's more than just the knowledge you're going to get on stage. What the crazy value is, what you get from it is the people, it's the network, the amount of networking that's going to happen at this event is going to be insane, right? I want you to come to this event all the way up to the end of the year. You're still working networks, you're still working leads, you're still working connections that you made at this event for months to come. That is the goal.
Agreed. If you were in Nashville, I think you got an experience of what TJ's talking about. And
yes.
There's a reason that Michael and I are both going to Houston, Michael Sjogren and myself, to speak at TJ's event. He's expecting 400 to 500 people. It's August 19th and 20th. TJ just gave me the special discount code for all of you as my members. Use Bill20. You'll get 20% off of tickets. So basically, I think TJ, tickets are like $200 right now, right?
Yeah, tickets are $200 right now.
And save $40, you get in for $160. Most of you paid $700 to $1,000 to come to my conference. So that's a pretty sweet deal. And how many speakers do you have lined up, TJ? I think I saw you have like 10, 12 speakers.
It's actually there's the new flyers coming out. We added more. Sean Rockagich is coming to speak. Sean's coming. We added Vina Jetty. She is going to be talking about raising capital, raising price. She's one of the best raising private capital. We got let's see who else that we added. My God, my mind's going blank. But we added a few. So it's total about 15 speakers now. It's all about 15 speakers now. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get some amazing keynotes from a lot of folks. And of course, the networking, of course, your favorite vendors are going to be there. It's going to be both fun. It's going to be, great. Oh, by the way, yes, please. Great. Appreciate that. Let them see all the speaker line. By the way, go to the venue tab and grab your hotels. There are literally just a few hotels left. The hotels are in the venue. The venue space is in the hotel. It's going to be at the C. Baldwin, one of the luxury boutique hotels, brand new construction that they just built here, downtown Houston. Beautiful spot. It's going to be something amazing. Yes. You got. Oh yeah, it's going to be something crazy. Oh man, my bad. No, I need to get on my guy about that. No, my bad. They messed that up.
Noah, you changed your name, Noble. I didn't know that.
I'm just saying that. I promise you, I'm not. I never noticed that, bro. I just see. We'll fix that. We'll fix that. But yeah, it's gonna be an amazing. It's gonna be an amazing. Man. You definitely want to be in.
So I think the one thing that I think I'm even excited about is that I see a lot of people there. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
I know some of them from like Clubhouse and stuff of that nature. I think there's going to be a lot of new stuff. And the one reason I wanted to bring on TJ today is it kind of coincides with what I just did yesterday. And I can't emphasize enough that the strategies that we put into place in 2021 and the first half of 22 need to change. They need to be updated because of where interest rates are today. We need to get more creative because of inflation, because rental income is down for everybody. I mean, I'm up 4.5% year over year, but I'm having to work way harder for it, than I was. So when I can go in and add a 400% cash on cash property through a creative deal like we did yesterday, that's going to dramatically impact, the portfolio. So I look at all the new stuff with different speakers, with different expertise. I hope that I see you guys there. If you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to TJ. And hopefully we'll see you guys in Houston. TJ, thanks for sharing all that. A lot of people have asked questions if they can get access to your deck. Are you cool if I upload your deck into the file section of the Facebook group?
I'll get back with y'all on that.
Okay, gotcha.
I literally just put this together. I literally just put this together. It's a lot that I still plan on doing with it, y'all. Just bear with me on that. But tap in with me. Trust me. Me and Bill's my guy. So yeah, we'll figure it out.
I just don't dress as fancy as TJ.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me today, TJ.
No worries. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all. Hope y'all saw value in it. Talk soon. See y'all.
Thank you, everybody. Just tag TJ or myself in the comments below if you guys have any questions about today's presentation or the rental summit in August.